The truth of the matter is that you do not need to bulk, or even dirty bulk for that matter, in order to gain muscle as a natural bodybuilder. Guys, this is Kenny Tunison. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to touch on a very relevant topic, in my opinion, in the fitness industry nowadays, just the bodybuilding community in general, I guess you could say. And that's going to be the loss of year-round aesthetics, I guess you can call it. Just the loss of a natural bodybuilder being in shape all year round. And when I say in shape, I mean you can see their abdominals, their six-pack all year round. So it's no secret that natural bodybuilders today are expected and rewarded for getting absolutely shredded on stage. I'm talking 4% body fat. That is what is expected. And again, like I said before, what is rewarded, even over muscle size, muscle density, proportion, you name it. But I'm not going to touch on that in today's video. I'm going to touch on how the culture of natural bodybuilding itself, even I guess you can say professional bodybuilding, they have lost the art of looking good year round. And it comes from the false belief that you cannot gain muscle if you're lean. And when I say lean, I'm not talking about that 4%, stage ready shape. I'm not talking about that. When I say lean, I'm talking anywhere from 9 to 12% body fat. Anything over, I think, is a little ridiculous. And this belief isn't something that just happens in the world of professional bodybuilding. It also happens on YouTube. A lot of natural guys on here who have pretty good physiques, they've built up a pretty big following. Most of them would say the same thing. You need to be bulked up, to 18, 20% body fat in order to really grow muscle. If you're at 10%, 12%, you're not going to build muscle. And if you do, it's going to take forever to build muscle, which is complete nonsense. I would not listen to that if I were you. It's not their fault. I just think they are misinformed on this. So let's go back in time. Let's go back to the golden era, which is pretty largely agreed upon the most popular, successful, even idolized by a lot of people for some reason, era of bodybuilding. Arnold's era, we all know about it. They never dirty bulked. They didn't even do what we would call today a lean bulk, right? They would ramp up on the drugs before the competition, let's say like 100 days, whatnot, and they'll really start ramping up on the training. But in the off season, if you look at photos of these guys, yeah, of course they're not stage ready lean. Obviously they're not going to stay like that all year round, but they're not fat. They're not even, I wouldn't even say they're over 12% body fat. They're still lean. And this was intentional. If you go back and look at what these bodybuilders preached and talked about and tried to teach other bodybuilders, they would always say in the off season, you have to stay relatively lean. They believed that trying to lose all that fat while also trying to build your best physique to show for on stage is just too much. And they were right. That is way too much. You shouldn't expect to be 20% body fat in the off season and then try to get to 6%, 7% body fat for the show in 100 days while also building some muscle. You just shouldn't expect to do all those things at once. The human body is going to respond to everything you throw at it. And I know you guys have heard before that our bodies, they try to resist us, all right? They want to reach a constant state of homeostasis, right? We all know that, okay? It's pretty common knowledge by now. So if we're throwing all these things at it, all the hours of cardio, the strict cutback on calories, the intense training, your body's going to crash out. It's going to resist even harder, which is exactly why these guys were staying lean in the off season. Just go back, look at the photos, look at the videos. They stayed lean. They didn't get big. They dialed back on the drugs they were using and even the training. They weren't doing 2-a-day training sessions, but they stayed relatively lean because they knew, and they were right about this. They knew that it would just be throwing the body overboard. And I know these guys, they were juiced to the gills. Okay, so natural bodybuilders, they shouldn't expect to do that, which you're right, they shouldn't. But if we go back to a time where we know the bodybuilders were natural, the time of Steve Reeves, the silver era, you can't find photos of those guys either bulked up. You just can't find it because they never got bulked up. And I have Steve Reeves' book. He says in it, he was never in a bulking stage. He even says he was never in a cutting stage. He says he was always in a building stage. And if you look at the photos, it's easy to see that he wasn't lying. Okay, he was telling the truth. And I know bodybuilding has come a long way since then, for better or for worse. That's your opinion. But still, he was always in a building stage. He wasn't drastically cutting back calories or drastically increasing calories in the off season just for the sake of lifting more weight and thinking that's going to put more muscle on your frame. So this brings me to my next point. Does gaining all that weight really actually help you gain more muscle than if you just stayed relatively lean? No, it doesn't. I've tried this before. I tried this earlier this year. It was a disaster. Yeah, I was lifting a ton of weight. I was the strongest I ever was, but I was fat. And that's usually what happens when you get fat. You get stronger, all right? Because you're heavier, you can push more weight. When I cut back for the show, and I did this the right way, I didn't drastically cut back my calories. I was eating a lot of protein, enough protein. I lost 26 pounds, and I was basically just about almost the same size as when I started that bulk. I gained no muscle, and I got super strong. And when I say super strong, I don't mean like crazy strong, but strong for my goals at the time. My goal was to bench 315, which I got pretty easily. But again, I was fat. So, can't really take any rewards for that. I was doing dumbbell French press with like 110 pounds for 8 to 9 reps, which is a lot of weight. Right now, I'm only doing the dumbbell French press for 10 reps with 65 pounds. But at the same time, I've already added 1/8 of an inch on my arms. And I'm still the same weight as I was on show day, which is 180 pounds. Still the same weight, but I'm growing. I'm building lean muscle tissue. And I didn't have to gain 20, 30 pounds to do that. And yes, when I was bulking, my numbers were going up every week, my measurement numbers. But how much of that was really lean muscle? And when I cut back for the show, when I cut down on calories, I figured that out the hard way. All right, all my measurements, I had over 17.25 inch arms, but a lot of it was fat. So what's even the point? It's not lean muscle tissue. What's the point? I'm not going to sit here and go, oh yeah, I have 17.25 inch arms when I'm 18% body fat. If that's your goal, by all means, all the power to you. But my goal is to build some crazy size as a natural lifter, all while staying lean. And there is no science that shows staying relatively lean in the off season is going to ruin your chances of that. There's no science showing that. And if there is, it's probably like these super controlled studies that they do now, and everyone makes a big deal about them. It's not the real world, right? When I go to look at what actually matters, I go back in history and I look at the greats in bodybuilding and I look at what they did, what worked for them. It might not necessarily work for me, but I'm definitely going to listen to that over some controlled study that was done in a lab with a bunch of newbie lifters. That's just the truth of the matter here. Okay, now for the last topic of this video, probably the most important part that I want to talk to you guys about. So if you stuck around this far, good for you. You're going to learn something today. But I want to talk about lifestyle choices and, more importantly, lifestyle habits. What kind of lifestyle habits, I should say, do you think you're building if you cut back 25, 30 pounds for a bodybuilding show? And then once the show happens, you did decent, whatever, you looked shredded. And then a week, 2 weeks after the show, you gain all that weight back. That 25, 30 pounds comes right back in the blink of an eye. I've seen this happen to guys. It happens a lot. And the reason for this being is they don't build healthy lifestyle habits. Bodybuilding is not an up and down thing. You can't just diet down for a part of the year and then eat whatever you want for the other half of the year and look terrible. Natural bodybuilding is consistency, discipline. It's a lifestyle. Okay? You really got to want it. You have to control what you're eating all year round. A lot of people don't like to hear this. But if you want to be a natural bodybuilder that people look to for inspiration, that's what you got to do. You can't expect to even make any progress by just eating whatever you want, eating like crap 75% of the year. And then when it's time for a show, really cutting back drastically, I should say, to like 1,500, 1,400 calories a day. And then just right after the show, stuffing your face with whatever. Because when the time comes when you can't compete any longer, or you decide not to compete anymore in your life, what are you going to be? You're going to be fat. We see it all the time. Guys who look great when they're younger, competing, then they stop competing. And because they didn't have a healthy diet, healthy lifestyle year round, they just get fat. They lose everything. They lose all their mojo, right? We see it all the time. It's sad to see, but this is a warning against that, right? This is why I'm talking about it here. And this is why I think this is the most important part of this video, this topic. Bodybuilding is a healthy lifestyle choice. It's not just this, all right, this part of the year, I got to diet down, Then the other 8 months out of the year, I can be fat. That's not bodybuilding. You can choose to do that, but you're not going to be happy and you're not going to be healthy in the long run, which should be the goal, right? Our goal is to be as healthy as we possibly can. We want to build the best physique we possibly can, but as naturals, we want to be as healthy as possible. That's the entire goal of it, is it not? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, God bless. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below and I'll try my best to get back to you. I'll see you guys.